The attic smelled of damp wood and forgotten time, a scent that was both familiar and haunting. Maya stood at the threshold, her flashlight cutting through the gloom as dust motes danced in its beam. She had been dreading this task ever since returning to her childhood home 2 weeks ago. Her parents' passing left her not just heartbroken but burdened with the monumental responsibility of sorting through decades of memories stored within these walls. Every box, every shelf seemed to whisper secrets from another era, an era she hadn't fully understood even when they were alive. It was a rainy afternoon, the kind where the world outside felt muted, leaving only the rhythmic patter of raindrops against the roof for company. The house was unnervingly quiet without her mother's humming or her father's occasional bursts of laughter. Even the creak of the floorboards beneath her feet sounded alien now, like echoes of ghosts long gone. Maya sighed, pulling her oversized sweater tighter around herself as she stepped deeper into the attic. Cobwebs clung to the corners of the room, and stacks of boxes lined the walls haphazardly, some labeled neatly in her mother's elegant handwriting, others marked hastily with faded ink. Most contained predictable items: old photo albums, holiday decorations, her father's collection of vintage records. But one box tucked away in the farthest corner caught her attention. Unlike the others, it bore no label, its surface covered in a thick layer of dust as though it hadn't been touched in years. Curiosity tugged at her, stronger than the fatigue weighing down her limbs. Crouching low, Maya brushed off the dust with trembling hands and opened the lid. Inside, she found a chaotic jumble of objects: yellowed letters tied with brittle string, tarnished jewelry, and crumpled newspaper clippings. But what stopped her cold was a small, faded photograph lying atop the pile. Her breath hitched as she picked it up. That image showed two young women standing side by side, their arms draped casually over each other's shoulders. One of them was unmistakably her mother, younger, carefree, with a radiant smile Maya barely recognized. The other woman was a stranger, her features sharp yet warm, her eyes sparkling with mischief. On the back of the photograph, written in shaky cursive, were 4 words: "Sisters forever." A doorway to the past. Maya blinked, her mind racing. Sisters? Her mother had never mentioned having a sister. Growing up, Maya always assumed she came from a small, tight-knit family. Her parents, her grandparents, and that was it. No siblings, no extended cousins, no mysterious relatives lurking in the shadows of their history. So who was this woman, and why had her existence been erased so completely? A chill ran down Maya's spine as she realized the implications. This wasn't just an old photo. It was a doorway to a part of her mother's life she had deliberately kept hidden. Questions swirled in her mind like storm clouds. Was this woman truly her aunt? If so, what happened to her? Why did her mother never speak of her? Clutching the photograph tightly, Maya sank onto a nearby crate, the weight of the discovery pressing down on her chest. For the first time since losing her parents, she felt something other than grief, a spark of intrigue, a hunger for answers. Whatever lay buried in this box, she knew she couldn't leave it untouched. Something about the photograph, the way the two women looked at each other, their bond palpable even through the grainy black and white image, felt too important to ignore. As lightning flashed outside, illuminating the attic in a brief, eerie glow, Maya resolved to dig deeper. Little did she know, this single photograph would unravel truths far bigger than she could have imagined. The attic's secrets. Over the next hour, Maya carefully sifted through the contents of the box, each item revealing a new layer of mystery. There were dozens of letters, some still sealed in envelopes, others unfolded and creased from repeated handling. Many bore dates stretching back decades, their ink faded but legible. Some were addressed to her mother Priya, while others appeared to be drafts written by her, letters that were either never sent or hastily abandoned. Among the trinkets, Maya found a delicate silver locket engraved with tiny floral patterns. Opening it revealed 2 miniature portraits inside, one of her mother as a teenager, the other of the same unfamiliar woman from the photograph. It was clear the two women shared a deep connection, one that went beyond mere friendship. Yet despite the obvious affection captured in these artifacts, there was an undercurrent of tension, almost sadness, woven into the fabric of their relationship. One letter in particular caught Maya's attention. Written on brittle paper, the handwriting was hurried and uneven, as if composed in a moment of desperation. The opening lines read, "Dearest Leela, I don't know how much longer I can keep this secret. Mother grows suspicious and father refuses to hear my pleas. They say you've brought shame upon our family, but I see none of that. All I see is my sister, the person who taught me how to laugh, how to dream, how to face the world unafraid. Why must love come with such a price? Why must we choose between loyalty to family and loyalty to ourselves? I miss you more than words can express, but I fear what will happen if anyone discovers I've been writing to you. Please forgive me for being weak, for not fighting harder to bring you back into our lives. Yours always, Priya." Maya's throat tightened as she read the letter. Leela. That must be the name of the woman in the photograph, her aunt. The revelation hit her like a tidal wave. Not only did her mother have a sister, but their separation had clearly been painful and fraught with conflict. What had caused such a rift, and why had her mother carried this secret for so long? Echoes of the past. As Maya continued exploring the box, fragments of her own memories began surfacing unbidden. She recalled evenings spent sitting cross-legged on the living couch, while her mother flipped through old photo albums, pointing out faces and recounting stories. But there had always been gaps, empty spaces in the narrative where certain names or events should have been. At the time, Maya hadn't thought much of it. Now, she wondered if those omissions were deliberate, carefully curated to shield her from painful truths. She remembered once asking her mother about her childhood. It was simpler back then, Priya had replied wistfully. But life has a way of changing us, doesn't it? Maya had nodded absently, distracted by something trivial, a homework assignment or a TV show. How foolish she felt now, realizing how much she had missed. Another memory surfaced, her grandmother, stern and unyielding, scolding her mother during one of their rare visits. Let the past stay buried, her grandmother had snapped. Some things are better left unsaid. At the time, Maya had dismissed it as typical generational friction, nothing more. Now, those words took on a sinister undertone, the weight of discovery. By the time Maya emerged from the attic, the rain had stopped, leaving behind a pale twilight. She carried the box downstairs, setting it gently on the dining table. Its contents spilled across the polished surface, a mosaic of relics from a life her mother had tried to erase. Photographs, letters, trinkets, all spoke of a bond severed violently, a chapter closed prematurely. Maya sat staring at the mess before her, overwhelmed by conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to shut the box and walk away, to preserve the comforting illusion of a simple, happy family. But another part, the part that burned with curiosity and longing for truth, knew she couldn't. These pieces weren't just remnants of the past. They were clues to understanding who her mother really was, and perhaps, in doing so, she might also understand herself better. With a heavy sigh, Maya picked up the photograph again, studying the faces frozen in time. Her mother's smile was radiant, full of hope and innocence. Beside her, Leela's expression mirrored that joy, tempered by a hint of mischief. Together, they looked invincible, untouchable by the forces that would eventually tear them apart. Maya whispered softly to herself, "Who are you, Leela? And why did my mother hide you from me?" A spark ignited. That night, unable to sleep, Maya returned to the dining table, poring over the letters and photographs once more. Each word, each image, pulled her deeper into the labyrinth of her family's history. She realized that uncovering the truth wouldn't be easy. It might even hurt. But the alternative, ignoring the evidence staring her in the face, felt worse, like betrayal. For the first time since losing her parents, Maya felt a flicker of purpose. This wasn't just about sifting through old belongings. It was about piecing together a puzzle, honoring her mother's memory, and reclaiming a part of herself she hadn't known existed. As dawn broke, casting golden light through the windows, Maya made a decision. She would find out who Leela was, and why her story had been silenced for so long. Little did she know, the journey ahead would challenge everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and forgiveness. A hidden correspondence. Maya began systematically organizing the contents of the box, grouping letters by date and sender. Many were written by Leela to Priya, her mother, and they painted a vivid picture of a relationship torn apart by forces beyond their control. The earliest letters brimmed with affection, recounting shared memories, inside jokes, and dreams for the future. One such letter stood out. "My dearest Priya, I can still hear your laugh echoing in my ears from our last trip to the lake. Remember how we raced each other across the water on those rickety wooden boats? You cheated, of course, you always do. But I let you win because it made you happy. Oh, how I miss those days when life felt infinite. Things are changing here, though. Mother talks endlessly about marriage prospects, as if my worth is measured solely by the man I choose. But what about love, Priya? What about choosing someone who sees me, not just my dowry or my family name? I know you understand. After all, we've dreamed together since we were children. Please tell me those dreams haven't faded. Forever yours, Leela." Maya paused, her heart aching at the raw vulnerability in Leela's words. She could almost see the sisters sitting side by side under the banyan tree mentioned in another letter, whispering secrets and daring to dream of lives free from societal constraints. But as she read further, the tone shifted dramatically. Later letters revealed escalating tension. Leela spoke of falling in love with a man named Arun, an artist with no wealth or status, and the backlash that ensued. Her family disowned her, branding her actions as shameful and defiant. Meanwhile, Priya's responses grew sparse, filled with cautious platitudes rather than the warmth Leela craved. The family's wrath. Among the letters, Maya found newspaper clippings detailing the scandal. One headline screamed, "Respectable family shamed by daughter's disgraceful elopement." The article described Leela's elopement as an act of rebellion against tradition, painting her as reckless and selfish. Worse still, it hinted at financial disputes, implying that Leela had stolen money to fund her escape, a claim Maya instinctively doubted. Intrigued yet disturbed, Maya turned to another set of documents tucked away in the box. These were drafts of letters Priya had written but never sent. They revealed her internal conflict, the struggle between loyalty to her sister and obedience to her parents. "Dear Leela, I want to believe you when you say Arun loves you, but mother cries every night and father refuses to speak your name. They say you've abandoned us, that you care more for him than for your own blood. Is that true? Or are they twisting the truth to soothe their anger? I tried to defend you, Leela. I really did, but they won't listen. They've forbidden me from contacting you, threatening to cut me off if I disobey. I'm scared, Leela, scared of losing everything, including you. Please write back. Tell me what really happened. I need to know the truth before hatred consumes us all. Your loving sister, Priya." Maya's chest tightened as she imagined her mother wrestling with these emotions. How lonely she must have felt, caught between two worlds, one governed by duty and tradition, the other by love and loyalty. It was clear that Priya had tried to maintain contact with Leela despite the banishment, sneaking letters and arranging secret meetings. But over time, even those efforts ceased, leaving behind silence. Clues pointing elsewhere. Determined to piece together the full story, Maya expanded her search beyond the attic. She reached out to distant relatives, starting with her maternal aunt, Aisha, who lived several states away. Though hesitant at first, Aisha agreed to meet via video call, her expression wary as Maya explained the discovery. "You're telling me there's proof Priya kept in touch with Leela?" Aisha asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "After everything that happened?" "Yes," Maya replied, holding up the photograph. "Look familiar?" Aisha squinted at the image, her face softening with recognition. "That's them, all right. Those two were inseparable growing up. But, well, things changed after Leela ran off with that boy." "What do you mean?" Maya pressed. "Everyone says she stole money. Was that true?" Aisha hesitated, glancing around as if afraid someone might overhear. "Not exactly. There was money involved, but it wasn't theft. Your grandmother accused Leela of using family funds to pay for her wedding. In reality, it was probably just bad timing, a withdrawal your grandfather made coinciding with Leela's disappearance. But once the accusation was made, no one cared about the truth anymore." Maya's mind reeled. If Leela hadn't stolen anything, then why had her family been so quick to condemn her? And why had Priya stopped defending her? Visiting old neighbors. To uncover more details, Maya decided to visit the neighborhood where her mother had grown up. The house was long gone, replaced by modern apartments, but some elderly residents still remembered the family. One neighbor, Mrs. Kapoor, greeted Maya warmly, her eyes lighting up at the mention of Priya and Leela. "Oh, those girls," Mrs. Kapoor exclaimed, shaking her head fondly. They were like two sides of the same coin. Priya, sweet and quiet, always following rules, and Leela, bold and fiery, unafraid to challenge authority. Everyone loved them, but everyone also knew trouble would come knocking eventually. "What kind of trouble?" Maya asked, leaning forward eagerly. Mrs. Kapoor sighed, her expression turning somber. "When Leela fell in love with that artist boy, it caused quite the stir. Your grandmother was furious, not just because of his lack of means, but because Leela refused to bow down. She stood her ground, even when they threatened to disown her. And then, well, you know the rest." "No," Maya said softly. "I don't think I do. Why did my mother stop talking to her?" Mrs. Kapoor hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "It's complicated, Beth. After the elopement, tensions ran high. Your grandmother forbade anyone from contacting Leela, but Priya couldn't bear to let go entirely. For years, she secretly visited Leela, bringing food, clothes, whatever she could manage without getting caught. But eventually, something happened. No one knows exactly what, but Priya stopped going. Some say Leela pushed her away. Others blame your grandmother's interference. Either way, the bond was broken." Maya sat silently, absorbing the weight of the revelation. Her mother hadn't abandoned Leela willingly. She had been forced to separatize under immense pressure, and yet the unanswered question lingered. What had finally driven them apart? Unanswered questions. Back home, Maya pored over the remaining artifacts, searching for any clue that might explain the final rupture. Among the items, she found a small diary belonging to her mother, its pages brittle with age. Flipping through it, she discovered entries detailing her mother's clandestine visits to Leela. At first, the tone was hopeful, describing joyous reunions filled with laughter and tears. But gradually, the entries grew darker, tinged with frustration and sadness. One entry, dated several months before Maya's birth, struck her particularly hard. Today, I saw Leela again. She looks tired, worn down by life. Arun is struggling to make ends meet, and her child, my niece, is barely getting enough to eat. I wanted to help, but Leela refused. She said she doesn't want charity, not from me or anyone else. Her pride cuts deeper than ever before. I offered to bring her home to beg forgiveness from mother and father, but she laughed bitterly, saying, "You don't understand, Priya. Home isn't a place anymore. It's a memory." Then she walked away, leaving me standing alone in the rain. Maya closed the diary, her vision blurred by tears. Her mother hadn't just lost her sister, she had lost a part of herself in the process. The pain of that separation must have haunted her for years, buried beneath layers of silence and regret. A growing determination. As the pieces of the puzzle began falling into place, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth. It was about healing wounds that had festered for decades. Whoever Leela was now, wherever she was, Maya owed it to her mother to find her, to ask the questions that had gone unanswered for too long, to bridge the gap that time and circumstance had widened. With the photograph clutched tightly in her hand, Maya resolved to track down Leela. Whatever awaited her, she knew one thing for certain: the journey wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. With the photograph and a bundle of letters tucked safely in her bag, Maya embarked on the next phase of her journey to find Leela. The clues she had gathered pointed to a small hillside town. Her voice cracked, and she paused to compose herself. "Do you know what it feels like to lose your entire family overnight? To be branded a disgrace, a pariah?" I thought Priya understood, but even she stopped coming in the end. Maya reached across the table, placing a hand over Leela's trembling ones. "She never stopped loving you," she said softly. "She kept these letters, these memories, hidden all these years. She defied your parents to see you, even when it cost her dearly. But something happened between you two. I don't know what. And she carried that guilt until her dying day." Leela sighed deeply, her gaze drifting toward the window. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the room in a soft golden glow. It wasn't her fault, she admitted quietly. By the time she came to visit, I was already too angry, too hurt. I lashed out at her, blaming her for not fighting harder, for letting them win. And then, I pushed her away. Rebuilding bonds. For hours, Maya and Leela talked, their conversation weaving together threads of joy, sorrow, and forgiveness. Leela shared stories of her life after leaving home, the struggles of raising a child alone, the sacrifices she made to support her husband's artistic ambitions, and the quiet pride she felt in building a life true to herself. Yet beneath the resilience lay a deep longing for the sister she had lost. "I used to imagine her sitting beside me, laughing like we used to," Leela confessed, her voice breaking. "But every time I tried to reach out, fear held me back. Fear that she'd reject me again, or worse, that she'd pity me." Maya listened intently, her heart swelling with compassion. "She never stopped thinking about you," she assured her. "Even when she couldn't say your name aloud, she carried you in her heart. That's why I'm here, to finish what she started." Over the next few days, Maya helped Leela create a scrapbook chronicling their shared history. They included photographs, letters, and mementos from the box, along with new additions, sketches drawn by Leela, poems written by Maya's mother, and snippets of conversations recorded during their meetings. Each page became a testament to the bond they had fought so hard to preserve, a bridge connecting past and present. Closure and healing. On her final evening in the town, Maya accompanied Leela to a secluded spot overlooking the valley. There, beneath a canopy of stars, they released a lantern into the night sky, a symbol of reconciliation and hope. As the lantern drifted upward, carrying with it decades of unspoken words and buried emotions, Maya felt a profound sense of peace. "Thank you," Leela said, wrapping an arm around Maya's shoulders, "for finding me, for giving me a chance to make amends, not just with your mother, but with myself." Maya smiled, blinking back tears. "She loved you more than anything, Leela, and now I think she can finally rest knowing you found your way back to each other. A new understanding." Returning home, Maya felt lighter, as though a weight she hadn't realized she was carrying had been lifted. That attic, once a place of shadows and secrets, now seemed brighter, its contents transformed into treasures of connection and healing. She organized a small gathering to honor her parents' memory, sharing stories of Leela's courage and resilience alongside tales of her mother's quiet strength. As relatives marveled at the revelation, some expressed interest in reconnecting with Leela. Maya encouraged them, knowing that forgiveness and acceptance were gifts worth passing down through generations. In doing so, she ensured that Leela's story and her mother's sacrifice would no longer remain buried in silence. For Maya, the journey had been more than just uncovering the truth. It was about embracing the complexity of love, loss, and redemption, and though scars remained, They served as reminders of the beauty that could emerge from brokenness. Bridging generations, Maya began by organizing a gathering at her childhood home, a modest yet heartfelt event aimed at honoring her parents' memory while introducing Leela back into their lives. Relatives who had once dismissed or forgotten Leela's existence now expressed curiosity and, surprisingly, warmth. The scrapbook Maya and Leela had created became the centerpiece of the evening, displayed proudly on the dining table for everyone to explore. As guests flipped through its pages, they marveled at the depth of emotion captured within. Photographs of young Priya and Leela laughing under the banyan tree evoked smiles, while letters detailing their struggles brought tears to many eyes. One cousin, barely older than Maya, lingered over a sketch Leela had drawn of her childhood home, remarking how much it resembled memories he had heard about but never experienced firsthand. "This is incredible," he said, turning to Maya. "I always knew something was missing, but I never imagined this." Maya nodded, feeling a swell of gratitude. "It's not just about what happened. It's about making sure we don't lose those connections again. Leela is part of our family whether we acknowledge her or not." Leela herself joined the gathering via video call, her presence met with applause and heartfelt welcomes. Though hesitant at first, she soon relaxed, sharing anecdotes about her life after leaving home, the challenges, the triumphs, and the enduring love she shared with her late husband, Arun. Her voice carried a mix of vulnerability and strength, reminding everyone present that forgiveness and resilience go hand in hand. Forgiveness across time. For Maya, one of the most poignant moments came when her maternal aunt, Aisha, approached her privately during the gathering. Aisha had initially been reluctant to discuss Leela, fearing the reopening of old wounds. But seeing the genuine effort being made to heal, she softened. "I owe you an apology," Aisha admitted, her voice trembling. "All these years I stayed silent because it seemed easier. But silence doesn't fix anything. It only deepens the divide. If your mother were here, I think she'd be proud of what you're doing." Maya hugged her tightly, overwhelmed by the sincerity in Aisha's words. "We all carry guilt in different ways," she replied. "What matters is that we're trying to move forward together." Aisha nodded, wiping away tears. "Let's make sure Leela knows she's welcome. No matter what happened in the past, she belongs with us." Honoring legacy. In the weeks that followed, Maya took steps to formally integrate Leela back into the family fold. With permission from Leela, she added her name to the family tree hanging in the living room, a simple gesture that carried immense symbolic weight. She also reached out to local historians, donating copies of the letters and photographs to preserve them as part of the community's cultural heritage. But perhaps the most meaningful tribute came when Maya decided to honor both her mother and Leela through art. Inspired by the creativity that ran through their veins, she commissioned a mural on the exterior wall of her childhood home. The design featured two intertwined trees, a nod to the banyan tree where Priya and Leela once played, symbolizing roots that remain strong even when branches grow apart. When the mural was unveiled, neighbors gathered to admire its beauty. Among them was Mrs. Kapoor, the elderly woman who had shared stories of the sisters' childhood. Standing before the vibrant artwork, she placed a hand over her heart. "It's perfect," she murmured, "just like them. A new chapter for Leela." Meanwhile, Leela found solace in reconnecting with her family. Though physically distant, she embraced the opportunity to rebuild relationships damaged by decades of estrangement. She exchanged letters with cousins, sent care packages to nieces and nephews, and even attended virtual family gatherings, her laughter echoing through screens as if bridging miles effortlessly. One particularly touching moment occurred when Maya arranged for Leela to meet her niece, the daughter she had spoken so passionately about in her letters. Now grown, the woman traveled to the hillside town to spend a weekend with her aunt. Together, they explored the countryside, cooked meals using recipes passed down through generations, and shared stories that spanned lifetimes. "It feels like coming home," Leela confessed to Maya during a phone call afterward. "Not just to my family, but to myself. For so long, I thought I had to choose between loyalty to my heart and loyalty to my blood. Now, I see that love doesn't have to be either slash or it can be both." Healing through storytelling. Determined to keep the momentum going, Maya turned her attention to preserving her discoveries in a more permanent form. Drawing inspiration from the scrapbook, she began writing a memoir titled Sisters Forever. The book chronicled her journey, from uncovering the forgotten box in the attic to reuniting with Leela, and wove together themes of love, loss, and redemption. Writing the memoir proved cathartic, allowing Maya to process her emotions while honoring her mother's legacy. Each chapter felt like peeling back another layer of truth, revealing not only the complexities of her family's past, but also the resilience that bound them together. When the manuscript was complete, Maya sent a copy to Leela along with a heartfelt note. "Dear Leela, this book wouldn't exist without you or without my mother's courage to leave behind clues for me to find. It's a testament to the power of love to transcend time, distance, and pain. Thank you for trusting me enough to share your story. Because of you, I've learned that families aren't defined by perfection. They're shaped by the choices we make to heal and grow. With all my love, Maya. Leela called immediately upon finishing the book, her voice choked with emotion. You've given me a gift I'll cherish forever, she said. Not just the words on the page, but the chance to reclaim my place in our family's story. Your mother would be so proud of you. Carrying the torch. As the memoir gained traction, Maya embarked on a speaking tour, sharing her experiences at libraries, schools, and community centers. Audiences responded deeply to her message that every family carries secrets, but confronting them openly can lead to transformation and healing. Many attendees approached her afterward, sharing their own stories of estrangement, regret, and reconciliation. Through these interactions, Maya realized that her journey wasn't just personal, it was universal. Families everywhere grappled with similar struggles, seeking ways to bridge divides and honor the ties that bind them. By speaking honestly about her own experiences, she hoped to inspire others to embark on their own paths toward understanding and forgiveness. A legacy of love. Back at home, Maya stood before the mural one evening, watching as twilight painted the intertwined trees in hues of gold and lavender. She thought about everything she had learned, not just about her mother and Leela, but about herself. Love, she realized, wasn't static. It evolved, stretched, broke, and healed. And sometimes it required digging through the rubble of the past to uncover the treasures hidden beneath. She pulled out her phone and dialed Leela's number. When her aunt answered, Maya smiled warmly. "How are you?" she asked. "I'm good," Leela replied, her tone lighter than it had been in years. "Better than I've been in a long time." "I wanted to thank you," Maya said softly, "for trusting me, for letting me help you find your way back." Leela chuckled softly. "No, Maya, thank you. You didn't just bring me back, you reminded me that love is stronger than fear. That's a lesson I'll carry with me forever." As they ended the call, Maya gazed up at the stars, feeling a profound sense of peace. Her mother's secret had led her on a journey she could never have anticipated, one that revealed the depths of human connection and the enduring power of forgiveness. And though scars remained, they served as reminders of the beauty that could emerge from brokenness. In the end, Maya understood that her mother's silence hadn't been an act of erasure. It had been a plea for understanding, a hope that someday someone would piece together the fragments and see the truth in all its complexity. That someone had been her. And now, thanks to her efforts, the story of Priya and Leela would live on, not as a tale of separation, but as a testament to the unbreakable bonds of sisterhood. Months turned into years, and Maya's life transformed in ways she could never have imagined. The journey that began with a dusty photograph tucked away in an attic had blossomed into something far greater, a testament to love, resilience, and the enduring power of connection. Each step forward wasn't just about uncovering secrets. It was about rebuilding bridges, honoring legacies, and embracing the imperfections that made her family whole. A family reborn. The ripple effects of Maya's discoveries continued to spread, touching lives far beyond her immediate circle. Relatives who had once dismissed Leela as a distant memory now embraced her as an integral part of their family. Birthdays, holidays, and milestones became opportunities to celebrate not only the present, but also the past they had worked so hard to reclaim. One particularly memorable occasion was Diwali, celebrated at Maya's childhood home for the first time in decades. Lanterns illuminated the garden, casting warm light over laughter-filled gatherings. Leela attended via video call, her face glowing with joy as she watched cousins exchange gifts. Children play under fairy lights, and elders share stories around the bonfire. At one point during the evening, Maya stood before the crowd holding a framed copy of the photograph that had started it all. The image of Priya and Leela smiling side by side. Raising her glass, she addressed the group. "Tonight, we honor more than just tradition," she said, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "We honor the bonds that unite us, the ones we thought were broken but have proven stronger than ever. My mother taught me that love isn't erased by silence or distance. It endures, waiting patiently for us to find our way back to each other." Her words were met with applause, tears, and nods of agreement. For the first time in years, the house felt alive, not just with people but with purpose. The walls echoed not with whispers of regret, but with laughter, music, and shared memories, leaving a mark. As word of Maya's memoir spread, it resonated deeply with readers across generations. Sisters Forever became more than just a personal account. It evolved into a movement, inspiring others to confront their own family histories with courage and compassion. Book clubs adopted it as a staple, sparking conversations about forgiveness, identity, and the complexities of familial relationships. Maya traveled extensively, speaking at conferences, workshops, and community events. Her talks focused not on perfection but on progress, on the importance of acknowledging pain while striving for healing. She often ended her presentations with a simple yet powerful message. Families aren't defined by the absence of conflict, she would say. They're shaped by the choices we make to move forward, to listen, to forgive, and to rebuild. Love doesn't demand perfection. It thrives on effort.